interpretation. And I now give the floor to Yorgo Chatzimarkakis. Thank you very much, Michel.
Thank you, Mr. Reichenbach, for being here with us. This meeting was planned with a different title some months ago. In June, it was postponed due to different circumstances. So it's a pleasure to welcome you here. And of course, I'm very glad to see Stefanos Manos here among with us. Now, the question we are dealing today with, and I've prepared a presentation. If you start, it's not running, you can't see it here. The question is whether, and the President pointed it out quite well, whether the EU taxpayers' money is spent in a way that we get a return on investment for that, and whether the mission of the task force is well served. The presentation is not working. Is anybody able to? Ah, there. Okay. And if you have a look at the mission statement of the task force for Greece, the task force, it says in the mission statement, is a resource at the disposal of the Greek authorities as they seek to build a modern and prosperous Greece characterized by economic opportunity and social equity and served by an efficient administration with a strong public service ethos. I like this mission statement, and that was one of the reasons, Mr. Reichenbach, why we started, I think, with a very good spirit in summer 2011. And this is the raison d'être of your task force. When we have a look at the real life, the Commission's view on that is that the task force is to identify and coordinate the technical assistance that Greece needs in order to meet the terms of the EU IMF adjustment program, and this is done in close cooperation with Greece and benefiting from input from other member states. But if we have a look at one of the mission statement's goals, a prosperous Greece, we have to see that the unemployment rises dramatically year after year. The figures from April this year say that Greece is at 27.2% of in unemployment rate, thus number one in Europe. Unfortunately, this is shared together with Spain. So a second item which I would like to highlight is the question of migration, and is caused by youth unemployment. More than 1 out of 2 young people are unemployed, some 62%. The tendency is going up. We have a generation that is growing up with no hope for the future. And by taking away the future of the youth, we are taking away the future of the entire country. I would like to point out what Martin Schulz, the President of this House, said recently at the Council, in his speech to the Council. He said we must at long last recognize that young people are at least as systemically relevant as the banks. And I think he expressed very well the view of the European Parliament in that respect. Also, Commissioner Andor, who is responsible for the social policy of the European Union, very recently said that last week he has taken a direct initiative to remove the bureaucratic obstacles. It's a very important point already to maybe discuss later on, which is what the Task Force for Greece is supposed to do. And therefore, it seems that in certain domains, the EU and Greece do not get enough return from the money they put into the task force. That's one of the reasons why we have a massive migration of highly skillful Greek professionals, whilst the Task Force for Greece tries to boost, at the same time, employment through apprenticeships and vocational training, as you point out yourself. I have to say that the migration of Greeks, Mr. Theurer, to Germany, the country that we know best, increased by 43% in 2012 compared with 2011. That's the latest figures. So I feel myself back in the time when my father left Greece in 1960, going to Germany, and we are in a similar situation now. When it comes to the SMEs, which is a very, very important factor in creating growth by absorbing EU money, we have to see that only a very small percentage of Greek SMEs have had some sort of assistance from the work of the task force. what is visible is that most of the SMEs does not reach, has no access to this money, and that's the big problem we have to talk about also today. Planning projects, coordinating activities, promoting cooperation, sharing of knowledge, and other generic work streams that do not generate jobs at the moment. That's the problem that we see. Let's come to social equity, which is also one of your goals in your mission statement. We see that 3 million of Greeks live on the brink of poverty. 3 million of Greeks. I think it's a lot. 500,000 children, 500,000 of children are struggling to survive in families unable to provide them with basics. So we have to see that 2 years after you started, Mr. Reichenbach, in Greece, Greece is in the middle of a social crisis. And this is not to criticize you, this is to discuss with you what can we do to overcome this. Where are the obstacles and where can we end this period of appalling figures? I think we cannot be satisfied just because some experts from fellow member states, I know that there are French colleagues, German colleagues, Dutch colleagues, conduct short-term missions to share knowledge with the Greek public administration. I think if we see these figures, this is just not enough. We have a big problem in the health sector, which is also a domain that you cover. Thousands of patients cannot buy their medicines. So the social security system is unable to provide medical treatment and medicines to every patient. We have, and that's maybe the most appalling figure, we have suicide rates that have reached record highs. The official figures in Greece refer to doubling in 1 year, a doubling per day. So it's normal that you have a suicide rate 1 per day, which is not nice, but it's normal. At the moment you have 2 suicides per day, so this doubling per day is the highest in the world in in the last 3 years. So it's a world record. I'm not going too deep into the tax evasion issue because this has of course to do with social equity and this has of course also to do with the question why the poor in Greece are burdened more than the rich, because tax evasion is an issue, you tackle it, but this is not something that we discuss today because we want to discuss the implementation of financial assistance. Nevertheless, I would like to highlight that this wealth that is created in Greece when it comes to the national income has to do with tax income by especially the middle and the poor class, not that much the rich class, because tax evasion is an issue that I know that the task force tries to help, but at the moment it seems to be still difficult. But I would like to highlight a very, very important issue, much more than tax evasion, that has to do with the implementation of financial assistance. That is the administrative reform in Greece and how we use the changed mechanisms in Greece in order to bring the money into the economy, to bring the money into the projects. One of the biggest problems in Greece is that everything passes via the capital, via Athens. Every decision. We have a lot of role models in Europe. We have Spain that have changed, the Spaniards have changed their systems. We have, of course, Germany with as a federal state with a direct responsibility of the regions, the Länder, for this. In Greece, there was, with the Kallikratis reform, an attempt to help absorb money in the region and involving the regions, the governors of the regions, much more into this game. But we see that still the cities are favored while the periphery of Greece is forgotten. We had a meeting with Mr. Reichenbach in 2012, here in Brussels, where all the governors in Greece came to see you. We tried to open up channels between the task force and the governors, the regions in Greece. Unfortunately, our information say that this cooperation is still not very on a very high level. My question is, how many people of the task force are working in the periphery, are working in regional offices in order to get this direct communication dealt with in a much better way. So how many people have you stationed in the periphery in order to cooperate directly? Because the figures that we have show that, yes, we have, and you sent us the figures, you answered on behalf of the Commission the questions concerning how much money we give to you. We have a quite clear picture for 2011, for 2012 as a first full year, and the figures say that we invest, according to your answer, 840,138 euro that have been pre-allocated for 2013. That seems not to be a lot, but in fact, the question is, what do we get out of it? I would like to thank you, of course, for your answers, Mr. Reichenbach. And I would like to highlight in the very end, because I'm just the rapporteur giving a short introduction, I'm sure that colleagues will come up with very concrete questions later on. A questionnaire that I have done through social media. So I have asked in several Greek social media whether they understand, whether they see the impact of the task force in Greece and how you moderated the impact of the austerity for the people, because that was a little bit the proposal that was made in the very beginning when you started, that you moderate the austerity impact by the Troika. And we gave the opportunity to the public to ask questions if they were present in this, as if they were present in this hearing. So people came up with questions, and what concerned them most was why the Task Force for Greece did not moderate the impact in a way that is understandable by people. So far, they don't see much of difference coming from the task force's work. What they can expect, what can they expect for their future? Here you have, so to say, the outcome of the query we have done. Do you consider the work of the task force have been successful in a way they feel successful? And you can see that the vast majority says no. So there's an open question how we can overcome this, because this is not representative, not at all. This is a work of 3 days, starting from Saturday, and just asking people, and some 500 people took part in it. But as you can see, the direct reaction was rather negative, and this indicative survey illustrates the way citizens perceive the outcome of the task force. And I want to discuss also with you how we can elaborate on that, how we can become better, because if you come to the conclusions, despite the presence of the task force, the real-life conditions in Greece worsen still dramatically, even if the picture in Europe has become better. The efficiency of the means, the European means that we use, is questionable, with unclear structure, unspecified number of staff, although you specified in your answer, but we don't know how many bilateral contacts are there. And, of course, the results perceived are not satisfactory. And that is why we believe that the task force should focus on real-life issues of citizens, bridging the gap between rich and poor, supporting the periphery rather than big cities, a clearer structure and number of personnel, and measuring the efficiency in order to get real impact. Thank you, Mr. Reichenbach, for having this hearing with us here. Yeah,